The atmosphere as we know it is a protective layer of gases that envelop the Earth. It consists of number of gases including 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 0.93% argon, and traces of carbon dioxide, hydrogen, helium, and other noble gases. The atmosphere is held in place above the planet due to the gravitational force, which keeps it adhered. But what would happen if Earth lost its atmosphere? Actually, the planet is slowly losing its atmosphere, bit by bit, bleeding it off into space. But I'm talking about instantly losing the atmosphere, all at once. Just how bad would it be? Would people die instantly? Would everything die? Could the planet recover? Here's a breakdown of what you could expect. The first thing you will notice is that the sky would turn black, because there would be no interaction between gases of the atmosphere and photons emitted from the sun. The sky is blue because light from the nearby sun hits molecules in the Earth's atmosphere and scatters off in all directions. The blue color of the sky is a result of this scattering process. At night, when the part of the Earth is facing away from the sun, space looks black because there is no nearby bright source of light like the sun to be scattered. If there was no atmosphere, the sky would be black both night and day. You know those pictures taken from the moon? The Earth's sky would look like that. Also, it would be totally silent. Sound needs a medium for transmission. Since it is a mechanical wave, it cannot be just heard in vacuum. You could feel vibrations from the ground, but you wouldn't hear anything. Birds and planes would fall from the sky. Although we can't see air, it has a mass that supports flying objects. Birds fly by displacing air, the same way you swim by displacing water. Hence, birds and airborne insects would plummet to ground around us like rocks. But this would be the least of our problems. All unprotected plant and animal life on the Earth's surface would die. We can't survive long in vacuum, which is what we'd have if the atmosphere suddenly vanished. Our eardrums would pop, saliva would boil, but you wouldn't die instantly. If you held your breath, your lungs would pop, which would be the quickest and most painful death. If you exhaled, you'd pass out in 15 seconds and die in around 3 minutes. Even if you happen to be one of the few hospitalized humans hooked up to a respirator when the sky vanished, you'd still be out of luck. Without the atmospheric pressure, we couldn't breathe. That's because lungs suck in and exhale air by raising and lowering the air pressure inside them relative to the outside air pressure. If there's no differential, you won't be able to take your last breath. Now let's assume you have a pressure suit and air. You would live, but you would get a massive sunburn on exposed skin because the Earth's atmosphere is what filters the solar radiation. It's hard to say how much trouble you would be in, but being in direct sunlight would be bad. Organisms that need air to breathe would die. Plants and land animals would die. Fish would die. Most aquatic organisms would die. However, some bacteria could be expected to survive, so losing the atmosphere wouldn't kill all life on Earth. Chemosynthetic bacteria wouldn't even notice the loss of atmosphere. In addition, the rivers, lakes, and oceans would boil. They would boil because the boiling temperature of water goes down when the atmospheric pressure decreases. Although water would boil, the water vapor would not fully replenish the atmospheric pressure. An equilibrium point would be reached where there would be enough water vapor to prevent the oceans from boiling off. The remaining water would freeze. Eventually, long after surface life is dead, solar radiation would break atmospheric water into oxygen, which would react with carbon on the Earth to form carbon dioxide. The air still be too thin to breathe. In the aftermath of our demise, Earth would gradually chill down. The atmosphere normally keeps Earth toasty by trapping solar radiation at its surface, preventing the heat that hits the planet from immediately re-radiating into space. Without this greenhouse effect, Earth's average temperature would drop to minus 18 degrees Celsius, and the temperature would swing wildly between day and night. The new denser atmosphere of water vapor from the oceans would act as a greenhouse gas, raising the temperature. Unfortunately, the increased temperature would allow more water to transition from the sea into the air, likely leading to a runaway greenhouse effect and making the planet more like Venus than Mars. Meanwhile, volcanoes and geothermal vents would continue to pump carbon dioxide and other gases out to add to the water. The biggest difference between the original and new atmosphere would be the much lower abundance of nitrogen. Earth could replenish some nitrogen from meteor strikes, but most of it would last forever. But is there a way humans can survive the loss of an atmosphere? Well, if we knew in advance that the sky was on its way out, there are two ways we could prepare for the change. First, we could build radiation-shielded domes on the Earth's surface. The domes would need a pressurized atmosphere and fill them with plants, which would both sustain the carbon-oxygen cycle and serve as a food source. We would need time to build a biodome, but the end result would not be much different from trying to survive on another planet. Water would remain, so there would be source of oxygen. A simpler solution would be to build a dome under the sea. That way, the water could provide pressure, plus it could filter out some solar radiation. So this was just a glimpse of what could happen if the atmosphere suddenly ceased to exist. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for weekly content. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next time.